The Second Industrial Revolution. Inventions and Inventors. The Second Industrial Revolution was also known as Technological Revolution. It was a period of rapid industrialization in the final third of 19th century and the beginning of 20th. During this time, a lot of inventions were introduced, like steel mills and the Bessemer process, refrigerator, telephone, electric light, phonograph, typewriter, automobile, airplane, elevator, and skyscraper. The Bessemer process. The Bessemer process is a method for making steel by blasting compressed air through molten iron to burn out excess carbon and impurities. The Bessemer process lowered the cost of production steel, leading widely substituted for cast iron. The Bessemer process was named after British Henry Bessemer, who invented the process. Henry Bessemer was an English inventor whose steel-making process would become the most important technique for making steel in the 19th century for almost 1 century, from year 1856 to 1950. Bessemer was born on January 19, 1813 and died on March 15, 1898. Refrigerator. Refrigerator is a process of creating cooling conditions by removing heat. It is mostly used to reserve food and other perishable items, preventing foodborne illnesses. The growth of refrigeration contributed a lot to the Industrial Revolution, and population moves from the rural areas to cities. In the year of 1748, William Cullen at the University of Glasgow demonstrated the first artificial practical purposes. However, he never used his discovery for practical purposes. In the year 1805, U.S. inventor Oliver Evans designed the first refrigeration machine that didn't use liquid and instead used vapor to cool. Oliver Evans was an American inventor, engineer, and businessman. He was born on September 13, 1755, and died at the age of 63. Telephone. A telephone or phone is a telecommunication device that permits 2 or more users to conduct a conversation. Telephone is a technology that has become an integral part of our life since it was invented in 1876 by Alexander Graham Bell. During the 19th century, many communication devices were invented. Therefore, this century was an era of communication revolution. Alexander Graham Bell was an inventor of this device. He was born on March 3, 1847, and died on August 2, 1922. He worked at school for deaf while attempting to invent a machine that would transmit sound by electricity. He first became interested in science of sound as both his mother and his wife were deaf. Electric light and phonograph. Electric light and phonograph were both invented by Thomas Alva Edison, or in short, Thomas Edison. He was born on February 11, 1847, Milan, Ohio, and died On October 18, 1931. Thomas Edison was also an American inventor and businessman who has been described as America's greatest inventor. Electric light. Electric light is a device that produces visible light from electric current. It is the most common form of artificial lighting and is essential to modern society. When Edison attempted to invent a light bulb, he made thousands of unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. Thomas Edison wasn't the first person who invented light bulb. Though he didn't come up with the whole concept, his light bulb was the first that proved practical and affordable for home illumination. Phonograph. Phonograph is a device for a mechanical recording and reproduction of sounds. In its later forms, it is also called a gramophone, or since 1940s, a record player. The phonograph could record sound and play it back. The receiver consisted of a tin-foil wrapped cylinder and a very thin membrane called a diaphragm attached to a needle. Sound waves were directed into the diaphragm, making it vibrate. A hand crank turned the cylinder to rotate the tin-foil cylinder, while the needle cut a groove into the record sound vibration from the diaphragm. Thomas Edison was the first who could capture sound and play it back. Typewriter. A typewriter is a mechanical machine for writing characters similar to those produced by printers' movable type. Before computers, many business processes used typewriters to produce printed documents. The first typewriter to be commercially successful was invented in 1867 by Christopher Latham Sholes. Christopher Latham Sholes invented the typewriter with the help of Carlos Glidden, Samuel W. Soley, and John Pratt. Christopher Latham Sholes was born on February 14, 1819, near Mooresburg, Pennsylvania, U.S. In 1840, he got married with Mary Jane McKenney. For 16 years of marriage, they had a daughter named Lillian Sholes Fortner. Automobile. An automobile is a road vehicle, or also known as car, powered by an internal combustion engine or electric motor, and able to carry a small number of people. In 1885, Carl Friedrich Benz drove the first three-wheeled vehicle. This innovation vehicle was the first in the world's design. Carl Benz was a German engine designer and automobile engineer. Benz's patent motor car from 1885 is considered first practical automobile. He received a patent for the motor car on January 29, 1886. He was born on November 25, 1844. He had 5 children with his wife named Bertha Benz. Airplane. Airplane is a powered flying vehicle with fixed wings and a weight greater than that of the air it displaces. On December 17, 1903, Wilbur and Orville Wright made 4 brief flights at Kitty Hawk with their first powered aircraft. The Wright brothers had invented the first successful airplane. The Wrights used this stopwatch to time the Kitty Hawk flights. They built the aircraft in 1903 using giant spruce wood as their construction material. The wings were designed with a 1 in 20 camber. The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, were two American aviators, engineers, inventors, and aviator pioneers who are generally credited with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful airplane. Today, the Wright brothers are regarded as the father of modern aviation. Wilbur Wright was born on April 16, 1867, near Millville, Indiana, the middle child in a family of 5 children. As a child, Wilbur was a bright and studious child and excelled in school. His personality was outgoing and robust. Sadly, on May 30, 1912, Wilbur Wright died in Dayton, Ohio. Orville Wright was born on August 19, 1871, in Dayton, Ohio, and died on January 30, 1948. When he was young, Orville Wright was a mischievous and curious boy, and his family encouraged his intellectual development. Elevator. An elevator is a type of vertical transportation that moves people or goods between floors of building. At the time, elevators that operated on a cable system were considered unreliable and dangerous, because if the ropes broke, the elevator plummeted to the bottom. Freight could be damaged, but more importantly, passengers were often killed by the fall. The man who solved the elevator safety problem, making skyscrapers possible, was Elisha Otis, who was generally known as the inventor of modern elevator. In 1852, Otis came up with a design that had safety brake. With his first installation of the first safe elevator in 1853, he literally started the elevator industry. Elisha Otis was born on August 3, 1811. He was born near Halifax, Vermont, where his father was for many years a justice of the peace and a state legislator. Skyscraper. Skyscraper is a very tall building of many stories. The world's first skyscraper was the Home Insurance Building in Chicago, erected in 1844 to 1885. The building was the first fully metal-framed building. The refinement of the Bessemer process, first used in the United States in 1860s, that allowed the major advance in skyscraper construction. As steel is stronger and lighter in weight than iron, the use of steel frame made possible the construction of fully tall buildings. The first skyscraper was designed by architect William Lee Barron Jenney. William Lee Barron Jenney became known as the father of the American skyscraper. He was born on September 25, 1832. After studying architecture in Paris, Jenney served in the American Civil War as an engineering officer. Having left the Federal Army with the rank of major, he practiced engineering and architecture in Chicago and taught architecture at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.